Right, hello guys, this is Scott. I'm gonna make a nightmare guide since a lot of people have been actually doing nightmare, and with the free times rewards being here, I want people to be able to do consistently high level runs. So this is going to be specifically support POV. I'm purposely not doing this run on main account, show people that you don't actually need all the stuff that I have on there. Um, some things that I wanted to talk about before we get into the actual run is emblems and the usefulness of them. Certain emblems will work for both parties, like the emblems that increase the duration of stuns. It is really important for you to run as a support. Probably throw on as many as you can, because at a certain point your carry is either going to have the damage or not. Extra damage that you provide from your emblems is not going to make or break the run, but the mobs being ungrouped will fail your run faster than damage ever would. So this one works uh, for both players, so you and the carry can both have them, because the mobs by default are 50% more resistant to stuns in Nightmare. So the more of these emblems you put on, uh, the lower the debuff in that lobby is. Uh, as well as another important one I want to talk about is damage emblems for you as a support. These are not for your actual damage during the run, because that matters very little when you're just trying to get consistent clears and not necessarily like the fastest clears. Very important emblems are physical damage ones, and then second most important is probably fire damage. So run as many of these can, and then just fill out the rest with like attack percent or crit damage or whatever it is you guys have. Um, these are especially good because the heroes that we're going to be using to clear the dungeon are mostly physical damage, fire damage heroes. So this is going to help us in that department. Uh, Balance tree. I mean, there's a few options here. I won't necessarily go into it because it doesn't really matter as much. And then another thing before the run starts is units to keep from like each rarity. So order of importance is obviously hunters are the most important units, because these are what's going to farm your economy. You need them at least level 6 so they unlock plunder to be able to farm you silver. Um, the bombers, because we use these for turtles, so we do keep them until we have all of the turtles. And then elemental elves are probably the lowest priority. You will need quite a few of them later on in the run, not so much in the early game. Anything else, rangers, warriors, we either merge them and sell them, or we just trade sell them. From blues, the only unit we keep is floating cannon, as we sell. And from purples, so for clearing dungeon, if you're running mostly physical emblems, penguin and the owl are going to be the most important for you. And then musketeer if you're running fire emblems. I prefer penguin and owl for clearing my dungeon because I mostly play physical emblems, because they also do have with sport spirit. Uh, but then right after it's musketeer. Alets we don't really use for dungeon. We use them in the comp in general, so we do usually keep them. And then performers are really bad for dungeon. Nature damage. Dungeon is nature resistant as well, if I'm not mistaken, so they don't really do anything. Uh, Legendaries. I want to say these are something more advanced. You kind of don't really keep any in the beginning. Not very good. They coins. And then for mythics, you need turtle. Do you don't need it 6. It is although recommended because of the chance of launching skills, uh, which is applies to the stun itself from the turtle. So that is very handy to have. And then the dragon. It actually does not matter what level your dragon is. The percentage damage buff it provides remains the same. So as long as you have those two units, ideally turtle minimum 12, 6 or 12, that's good. And then alats, minimum 6, 12 preferred. And then, I mean, same thing with penguin, like 6, but 12 is better, right? Uh, think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, like outside of the run. So we'll actually get a run going here. Get our partner in, and I'll talk through stuff during the run. Right. So we're going to play this the exact same way as we would with any other co-op. We wait for 80 monsters to complete the quest. The quest we are mostly aiming to clear is the 81, this one, the Sal one, and the Lucky Coin one. Those are the easiest quests to complete. As a support, your job in the early game is kind of like focus your dungeon. Depending on how strong your teammate is, you might need to help out with clearing the board or not. So here I'm going to look at what I have. I can see I've got a bunch of bombers that I do want to keep, but I want to complete my quest, so I will just sell these 5 units, keep everything else so they can keep clearing the wave. Put my hunters in the dungeon so they farm me silver. I do wanna. I've seen a lot of support players do this on like Discord streams and stuff as well. It's like where people are against the idea of farming econ and just chilling as a support. Like there are going to be times where you don't really have anything to do because you're like waiting for lucky coins or stuff like that because we don't build econ in this build. Or like no, we don't play chanter, coin up, none of that. So there are times where you're just not doing it, and that is completely fine. Like you don't have to just start doom rolling to feel like that you are. So any purpose you get here will send to dungeon. I will keep these for the meantime as well. I have something. So actually, I forgot. I only have 4 dungeon slots. This, and then what you want to do here is you want to start enhancing purple, the rare hero enhance. I do recommend you always at least keep 1000 silver for your safe and hammer. And in this case, if floating cannon shows up in the first choice, you pick it because it's good for turtle. If it does not show up, you just take the 50% chance on a rare. So here we're just gonna keep rolling for purples. We're gonna keep an eye on the board because our teammate might need us to help him while he's building econ. Whenever you can make a turtle, we do make a turtle. Dragon, we don't want to make because we need all our owls to be clearing the dungeon. But here again, it's completely fine to not do anything. We don't want to spend our silver. We want to build up our silver because the amount of silver we have is going to be very important later on in the run to actually complete the build that we're going for. So do not waste your economy in the early game, because that just means that you're not going to have consistent high clears because the end state of your board is going to vary too much. You guys can see I've only got 4 dungeon slots, 22 unit slots, so this account is pretty fresh. Too much going on it. So here, what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to slow down the game so it's easier. So in this case, you can check the dungeon is actually nature one, this one. We could keep the Harbgers in, but they will end up doing less damage than my Musketeers will. So here I'm just going to resell them. So we're just going to roll a bit. Not really getting anything, which is not ideal, but it's fine. What you want to do in this situation is you want to make sure you definitely clear. I know for a fact that my account is a lot weaker than my main account. So I'm just going to push my hero enhance level to 7. And then just keep an eye out on my dungeon timer at all times. We take the owl, because that's what's going to be useful to us later on in the game as well. So here we just want to keep trying to get units that we can actually use in our dungeon. And this is one of those points where I like say it's okay to not do anything, because like here, if I did try and like roll I'm not really gonna make it anywhere. I already have bombers. I accident. I already have bombers I need for my turtles later on. I already have the elementals that I will need for dragons. That would just be ruining my own economy. This is one of those points where we chill. So you always want to keep an eye out on what the bosses do. Shadow is healing, Guardi is mana. We've got Ice, which is freezes 5 grids. You want to move your units off of it, obviously. If you ever run any Nightmare or higher level ranked, you already know what they do. And then Evil Spirit summons golden cards on the tiles. If you keep any of your units on those tiles, you'll just transform it into a random character of the same rarity. You always want to check these in advance and actually prepare for them. So next one coming up is Ice, so we're just gonna have to move our units off of the red tiles. Now here, we keeping an eye on the board in case in the first 30 waves your carry might need help with clearing the waves while they're building econ. My carry already has a blast cat, 2 blast cats and a shimmer, which means he's in a very good state. I actually don't need to do anything, just beat my dungeon. That is the only goal. I'm going to actually further enhance because this dungeon is not looking very good for me. Huh? Also going to take my hunters out, have them farm out here instead. I'll even go to 10. Because if you fail your dungeon, obviously the whole run's failed, so the most important thing to make sure you're getting that done. Wave 29, which means we're gonna have the boss coming up. On wave 10, 20, 30, and 50, you'll also get a choice for a hero. So you want to make sure you have open slots on your board so you can get that choice. You always do want to hunt. You never want to hunt during a boss fight. I'm gonna sell some purple dungeon. This should clear. 3 minute 40. We're just gonna keep it. Swap. Means once again we're gonna need 5 slots on our board. But this is kind of just chill. Most of these runs, like during this period after the carry's economy is set up, are played in 1x speed. Because they have a lot of lucky coins that they have to roll, which means kind of do just sit here a bit bored, but it is what it is. Downside of playing support. We'll make this. And once your dungeon is complete, so I have a general rule for myself while playing these runs, like state that I want my board to be in. Like early on, while I'm clearing dungeon, I want my board to have some stuns. So once he gets 1 DPS mythic, I just want stuns to be lined up with that DPS mythic, so he can just keep killing the waves without any problems. By like wave 50-ish, I kind of want to be done with my stuns and around 4 damage buffing units, which is usually your dragons. So as soon as the dungeon is done, that's what we're gonna start trying to work towards. And based on like wave 50 to 60, till then we're going to try and save our silver as much as possible. And wave 50 to 60 is where we're going to use our silver to try and finish off our build. My general rule is like by wave 80, your setup needs to be like 90% complete, and it must be complete before wave 90. We're about to beat our dungeon with plenty of time left, so we want to keep all of these units, so we just move the cards. Boss dungeon is completed, so we're take all of our stuff out. So these units that I'm not going to be using, I'm just going to be reselling from this point on. We're going to start making dragons. I'm just going to put them in the dungeon to place on my board. I'm going to roll for blues because I have the bombers and the stuns to make my turtles. We're just going to roll some blues here. Blue stun robots. Anything else, as I said before, you just resell. I'll also show you guys the stun setup that I do like running, which is I do like my turtles down here. This is going to be enough, so now we're just more turtle. Right, this is perfectly fine. So now we have 2 damage buffing units and 4 turtles. What I want is I want to get some of my triangle stuns back. And I also do want to get more dragons because wave 50 is coming up and I like to be around 4. So we're just going to try and roll for those for the time being. Getting a lot of... Yeah. Anything else at this point, you just resell. So yeah, here we're providing about 30% ally attack. It's a bit lower than what I would like it to be. But yeah, this account's not really got the collectibles, unfortunately. But it is still doable. So here we're just gonna chill. We're gonna have a look to see if our teammate is doing anything. He making blast cats. Not gonna speed up the game, especially now. Like all of the boss mechanics where you have to dodge stuff or do stuff are also generally played in 1x speed. You usually do let the DPS player control the speed because they know whenever they are busy rolling or whenever they are not. So just if they put it on 1x speed, please don't touch it. Just let them be on 1x speed. So here comes the dodge. We want to keep all of our stuff, so off. And then move stuns back. You want the bosses to be clumped nicely. So I'm going to adjust my turtles. Clump them. They are way too quick stage. So here we get a legendary. Does not matter. I'm just going to whatever it is. And then yeah, now at this point, our focus is we're gonna try and remake the one more turtle, because of like the lack of stun emblems and the the level of my units. I will play 5 turtles just for safety. I am keeping the penguins for the time being, so just like a safety measure. Now I have 17,000 silver. The silver boss is on 70. So I definitely want to roll down before the silver boss comes and taxes me 20%. And because I am behind on dragons, because I only have 3 of them right now, I am going to start my roll down now. Basically, fully enhance your summon, and then whatever is not part of the units that we're making, we're gonna be selling. I will also keep this stack of hunters for as long as possible to just keep generating me silver while I'm looking for all of this. So at this point, we don't need any of this. We just need dragon materials and allets for the stun. Everything else gets stored. Here we have a blue guy and a good amount of coins, so let's roll. And the only thing we're really looking for is pallets and we check next boss. I do have a strategy for the boom boss, which I will try and showcase on this, but might not be doable because it has very low HP since it's 56. Might not work as well. I'm just gonna hope there is one on the later bosses. Or I'll just pull up the clip after. Here we saw the ping. Two guys. We're doing on dragon. mine is hatched in the dungeon. Doesn't really matter. Provides the attack buff. That's what I'm here for. Leave it there. As long as you don't have the skin, there is no actual benefit of having them on the board. This is the scramble one. You always want to try and stun him here early, like at the start of the lane. So you want them to be nice and grouped, and then every time the shuffle happens, you want to move your stuns back and then adjust your turtles so they are hitting. And if you have any sword spirits or melee units, then you move those back on. That's like the last priority. Your top priority should always be make sure bosses stay grouped. So here, like I said, you just carry on building dragons, getting your stuns up. Notice how I'm still like trying to keep this stack of hunters for as long as possible. So they keep farming money, make sure the build does actually get finished. These. I'm going to have to start selling. Okay, next boss is no mana and ego, which means we don't actually have to move. So we're just gonna probably stay here and hold for 15 rounds. Really need to pay attention. The only thing you're looking at is whether these mobs are consistently stunned or not. Because if they are not and your turtles are targeting like other stuff, then they're fixed. Sorry if you guys didn't actually check audio. Keep building dragons. There is not much for you to do with no mana as support. Turtle ultimate is not that necessary. If you do ever wanna like actually save one for whatever reason, this way to avoid it is whenever it's fully charged, just put it in your dungeon. It won't be affected. When you pull it out, it's ready to wait for him to get there. Pull it out. Put. These are early waves, so they are still kind of just getting shot. Gonna check how we're doing. So here it says 20 out of 22, which means I need 3 units to make a dragon, so I can't make one. So what I'm going to do is sell 1 alat, so I have the space to make a dragon, and then just get one, and then once that dragon is built, then I'm going to put that alat back. This is how you min-max the space on your board to the maximum. Now you also do want to pay attention to have at least 5 slots free on your board at all times, because you need 5 slots in between your dungeon and your board to be able to dodge certain mechanics. We're going to look at the boss coming up. It's healing and money steal. We have our money stole twice, which is a little bit unfortunate, but definitely something that's going to break this run. Yeah, so here if you look, my dungeon is full. I can't put anything in. And I have exactly 5 slots left on my board. So that means I actually, even though I still have unit slots, I can't place anything without losing something on next mechanic. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to coins. I'm going to get this alat back, and I'm going to also get a penguin, because the penguin will provide damage buff to my teammate. Even though it's 60% reduced, he still gets a 3% damage buff. And whenever a mechanic comes that requires me to sacrifice a unit, it's going to be the penguin that goes first. But for the time being, it's still providing the attack percentage. Because at the end of the day, that is what it is. That's your job as a support, right? You're here to stun and provide damage ups. So here our board is fully complete. So we're just going to chill. Nothing else to do. Next boss is doesn't require us to do anything, and the boss after also doesn't require us to do anything. So stuff. Can move your unit. Can move your units to like hit, like further maximize damage a bit, but oh, one more thing. In this situation where you have like leftover lucky coins, obviously you can save them just in case you lose stuff on a mechanic, so it's easier for you to build back up. I am very confident based on these mechanics that I'm not going to lose anything, so put them in can hands. Yeah, chill. We're gonna ask our carry if he has finished with his build, because if he has, if we're both done with our build, there is no point in keeping the game on 1x. Just gonna speed it up here. Sometimes it's also good like calling out to your carry what the bosses are. That is kind of part of the job description, especially while they are rolling, like here where he's not doing anything, it's not as important. And while you're like here, don't actually go full AFK. Pay attention to this kill zone that we have created here. See if any of the mobs are getting through, or if your turtles are aggroing the wrong stuff. Because if your turtles are hitting the wrong mobs, you either have to. There's two ways of resetting a turtle and what it's targeting. One of them is moving it out of the range of the mobs, and the other one is putting it in your dungeon. And then once the mob is out of range, you pull it back out. Which you will have to do sometimes because the turtle AI is a bit interesting. It just tends to hit random stuff. We're gonna check attack values on our teammate. He's very good. Pay attention to the stuns here. We're gonna 1x it. Good for every boss fight. Don't hunt on the boss. And in general, a good rule is to not hunt past wave 90. Most players prefer not hunting because the hunt mobs just start to have a lot of health. No mana on later waves is a bit of a struggle because obviously the biggest, like most comps utilize Blasket as one of their primary source of damages, and obviously Blasket does not do anything outside of her ultimate, let's be honest. But you can see the Shimmers putting in well. He did hunt. I'm going to hunt as well. You shouldn't. If your carry is fine with doing a hunt, do it. If you're struggling with the monster waves, in general, just don't hunt. We're gonna call out Lost Mechanic is the one that most people deal at. So I'm going to show you guys how I usually deal with this mechanic. So this is what I like to call the scramble, where it shuffles your board around, and then ice. So it's a dodge mechanic as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create space turtles in the dungeon for that mechanic coming up. I'm gonna pull all of my dragons out. We're going to get rid of that penguin, or just so I don't accidentally try and save that over a unit that I actually should be saving. And we're just waiting Also, one thing about bosses. So bosses always spawn separately. The one that is at the top will always come out first, and then the one at the bottom comes out second. So that's the order that the mechanics come in. So it's going to shuffle our board around, and then the ice is going to happen. Once again, as I showed earlier, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and stun the bosses very early on, up front, so they group up. You want the bosses to be grouped very tightly, especially for Blasketh. If your teammate is not running Shimmers and they are running only Blaskeths, you need a much tighter spread. Shimmer's AoE is a bit larger than Blasketh, so does it really matter in that case? Definitely don't press this hunt, the very last hunt of the game. I'm going to get rid of that penguin now so I don't focus on it. And then when it hits 3 seconds, I'm going to put turtles away. And then here we're just gonna chill. And then stuns, we're gonna move straight up. So here we're just dodging. We're saving whatever we can. And then once this second scramble goes out, you pull your turtles out of the dock. And then essentially what we're doing is we're creating a nice stack at the front, which means we have a lot of time to fix it here. So these turtles are attacking mobs. I'm gonna drag it out of the way, so they are stunning only the bosses. So they stay nice and grouped. And then the mobs will eventually walk in and get killed as well. And hopefully, here we just hope that we have the damage to actually beat it. We should do. Did he lose? He might have lost some Blaskeths. Yes, so that is the full run. As you can see, 0 damage percent. Our contribution comes more from buffs than actually doing damage. 0 is not usually what you want to happen, but it did happen. So yeah, that's the first full clear I got on this account. I do have the dragon skin. That's pretty much the whole video. That's how you deal with the mechanic that I do see most support players fail their first clears on. The scramble one. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. All right, peace.